Two bodies found wrapped in plastic on a tiny Irish lake island. A woman on the run for almost a decade. A trial that could shake the whole country. Welcome to the case of Ruth Lawrence. Alright, let's break down this cast because every wild Irish crime story somehow ends up sounding like a twisted Netflix pilot. First up, Ruth Lawrence. 42 years old from Clontarf, Dublin. To her neighbors, she was just the woman next door who kept to herself. But to detectives, she is the accused at the center of one of Ireland's strangest double murder cases. They say she vanished right after two men were found dead on an island in County Meath. Classic move: disappear first, ask questions never. Then we've got Anthony Keegan, 33, and Eoin O'Connor, 32. Two best friends, like inseparable. People said you never saw one without the other, until the day both of them didn't come home. Their families spent weeks searching. Their bodies were eventually found together, hidden away, turning what started as a missing persons case into full-blown murder headlines. And somewhere in the mix sits Neville van der Westhuizen, Ruth's South African partner. The mysterious guy who supposedly helped her, then hopped on a plane faster than you could say, guards have questions. He's been the ghost in this story ever since everyone knows the name. No one's sure what he actually did. 3 names, 2 victims, 1 accused woman, and a country that's still trying to figure out what really happened on that quiet stretch of water. Alright, let's rewind the tape. It's May 2014. Ireland's in that weird space between drizzle and summer hope, and somewhere on Lough Sheeland, this small, peaceful lake between Meath and Cavan, 2 guys just vanish. Anthony Keegan and Eoin O'Connor. The friends so close everyone joked they were brothers. They leave home one afternoon, tell their families they'll be back soon, and never are. Days turn into weeks. Families start panicking. Search teams comb the lake. Nothing. Then, weeks later, a fisherman spots something floating near Inchicup Island. It's not driftwood, it's the nightmare. 2 bodies, wrapped in plastic, hidden like someone thought the water would keep their secret forever. At first, it's all chaos, local rumors, theories flying everywhere, people saying it's gang stuff, others whispering about revenge. But when the guards start digging deeper, one name keeps popping up: Ruth Lawrence. Now here's the weird part: by the time detectives show up to question her, she's gone. Like gone. No trace, no calls, no sightings. She doesn't just skip town, she skips continents. Turns out Ruth hopped a flight to South Africa, and for years she just blended in. New country, new name, new life. It's almost like she pressed delete on her past. But as with every great Irish secret, the truth doesn't stay buried, not even in another hemisphere. So fast forward almost a decade. Ruth Lawrence has built herself a quiet life in South Africa, or at least that's what she thinks. No press, no Irish accent slipping out at the wrong time, no one asking awkward questions about a pair of bodies in Meath. But the thing about running, it works until it doesn't. Because in October 2022, South African police acting on a European warrant knock on her door. And just like that, the long game is over. 8 years after the murders, Ruth is arrested. She's flown back to Dublin under heavy escort, landing straight into the Central Criminal Court like a ghost dragged back to life. And while Ireland is only just catching up, her old partner, Neville van der Westhuizen, is already in a South African prison serving time for a violent assault. Yeah, the guy she ran with didn't exactly keep a low profile either. For journalists, it's like the sequel they never thought they'd get. For investigators, it's finally a chance to finish the case that's been haunting their files since 2014. Ireland's true crime fans, they're eating it up. Every headline, every court update, every rumor, it's trending again. And as Ruth sits in her cell waiting for trial, the question hanging over everyone is simple. Was she the mastermind, or just caught in someone else's storm? Alright, here's where things start to feel less like a cold case and more like an Irish courtroom soap opera. It's been over 10 years since the bodies were found, and finally Ruth Lawrence's trial begins at the Central Criminal Court in Dublin. The media's outside like it's a red carpet event. Cameras, reporters, the whole thing. Inside, though, it's pure tension. Every seat's taken, every eye's on Ruth, who's sitting there quiet, head slightly down, looking nothing like the fugitive people had imagined for years. The guards walk in with boxes stacked high, evidence collected over a decade. Photos, phone records, forensic reports, even old witness statements that had been gathering dust since the early 2010s. The prosecutor lays it all out. Ruth Lawrence and her partner Neville van der Westhuizen allegedly planned, carried out, and covered up the murders of Anthony Keegan and Eoin O'Connor on Inchicup Island. But the defense, they've got a whole different angle. They say Ruth was manipulated, dragged into something by Neville that spun out of control. And because he's locked up abroad, he's not sitting there to defend or deny any of it. It's a mess legally, emotionally, publicly. You've got jurors trying to piece together a decade-old timeline, lawyers arguing over phone pings from a time when people still used Blackberries, and witnesses who barely remember what they had for lunch that day, let alone what they saw in 2014. And then there are the delays. Procedural delays, evidence delays, witness delays, everything except verdict delays. 10 years on, and it's like the trial itself caught the same virus as the justice system. Slow load times, endless buffering. But nobody's tuning out. Because every single day brings something new, an old photo, a statement, a contradiction. And in a country this small, everyone knows someone who knows someone connected to the story. Ireland's watching. The families are waiting. And the question that's echoing across every news site is simple: will justice survive the delay? Now, here's where things go from courtroom drama to full-on national obsession. Because this isn't just about one woman and two men. This verdict has Ireland arguing in comment sections like it's a World Cup final. The jurors are locked away, the reporters are camping outside, and everyone on social media has suddenly become a legal expert. Half the country is convinced Ruth Lawrence is guilty. The other half says she's being thrown under the bus for a man who isn't even in the country to defend himself. If the jury finds her guilty, people will call it justice finally served after more than 10 long years of waiting. If she's acquitted, it'll open a whole can of worms about how Ireland handles old cases, joint enterprise laws, and extraditions. Like, what does guilt even mean when the evidence has aged worse than a forgotten pint? This trial isn't just about who did what, it's about whether the system can even work when the past is that far away. You can feel the tension everywhere: pubs, offices, online threads. People checking updates between coffee breaks, pretending not to care, but everyone's refreshing the Irish Times like it's live football scores. Because the truth is, Ireland loves a mystery. And this one, it's about to drop a verdict that could split opinions right down the middle. Alright, I gotta be real here, this case feels like something straight out of a dark Irish drama where everyone's guilty of something, but no one's actually sure of what. Ruth Lawrence. The name alone sounds like a headline we've been reading forever. 10 years of silence, extraditions, whispers, and delays. And here she is, sitting in a courtroom, staring at 12 strangers who'll decide how her life ends up. Now look, I'm not a detective, but you don't need a badge to see how wild this story got. A woman vanishes across continents, her partner ends up in a South African prison, and two friends turn up dead on an island that nobody had even heard of before. It's not some clean whodunit, it's human chaos. Love, fear, betrayal, survival, all tangled into one ugly mess. And after watching this drag on for a decade, you start to notice something. It's not just about catching a killer anymore. It's about how Ireland remembers its crimes. How long people are willing to wait for justice before they just stop believing it's even coming. I mean, think about it. Memories fade, witnesses move away, lives move on. But the families, they're still stuck in the same year. Still waiting for closure while everyone else is busy scrolling past. This trial isn't just about Ruth Lawrence. It's about time and what it does to truth. Here's the part that gets under your skin. 2 men gone. 1 woman accused. 10 years of waiting, chasing, and arguing, all for a verdict that still hasn't landed. It's almost poetic if it weren't so dark. Everyone wants the truth, but after so long, even truth starts to rot. Evidence fades, memories blur, and suddenly it's not about what happened anymore, it's about what people believe happened. When Ruth Lawrence walked into that courtroom, she wasn't just facing a jury. She was facing time itself, every missed lead, every broken promise, every person who gave up hope along the way. And that's what makes this story haunting. Because no matter what the verdict ends up being, guilty, not guilty, mistrial, whatever, it won't bring back the peace that was lost. Not for the families. Not for the guards who chased this case across continents. Not even for Ruth. So when the jury finally walks back in and the headlines explode again, ask yourself this: is Ireland about to get closure? Or just another reminder that justice takes so long it forgets who it was meant for? Sometimes the scariest part of a murder story isn't the crime itself. It's realizing that the waiting becomes the punishment. Thanks for watching, and if you want more twisted Irish true crime told without the fluff, hit that follow, because when this verdict drops, I'll be right here, breaking it down piece by piece.